Good morning. Welcome to Sunday morning. Happy to be here with you. Greetings to anyone I can see on Zoom, and greetings to the people I cannot see on Facebook and YouTube. For the last few weeks, we've been talking about compassion and the nature of compassion. And last week I went over the 6 elements of compassion, and one of them is empathy. So I thought I would talk about empathy today and the relationship between empathy and compassion. And we'll get to that after the meditation. So I invite you to find a meditation posture in which you can be alert but awake and relaxed at the same time. If you're sitting upright, just let your back be straight in its natural curve. If you tuck in your chin, and there's like this little string right at the crown of your head, and you pull that up slightly, that would straighten the top of your spine and your neck, but without straining or stretching or stressing the muscles in your shoulders or neck. And gently close your eyes. And notice how it feels to be in this body, in this moment. Without the usual reflective answer that follows this question, I invite you to contemplate, how are you? Just as a contemplation. And notice how that resonates in your body. I invite you to notice the contact points. If you're sitting in a chair, notice the sensations of your feet on the floor. Notice the sensations of your hands in your lap. How that feels on your legs, how that feels on your hands. Notice the sensations of your bottom on the cushion or the chair. What does that feel like in your legs? I invite you to notice the sensations of breathing. As you breathe in, just let go and let your belly expand. We often hold our belly tight. This is a soft belly experience. Noticing the sensation of your belly and your chest expanding on the in-breath and relaxing on the out-breath. Noticing the sensation of the air moving in and out of your nose. Slightly cooler on the in-breath. Maybe slightly warmer on the out-breath. And now I invite you to take a few long, slow, deep breaths, about 3/4. And when you get to the top of the in-breath, just pause for a split second and then notice your body transitioning to an out-breath. And at the bottom of the out-breath, just noticing how your body settles. Pause for just a second. And notice your body transitioning to an in-breath. The sensations that go along with that. And letting your breathing return to normal. Now just letting your attention, your awareness, rest and focus on your breathing. Just going with the rhythm of breathing in and out, noticing. letting your awareness ride the entire length of the in-breath and the entire length of the out-breath. Just focused on breathing in. When your mind wanders off in thought, as it will, it's okay. It's the nature of the mind to think. When you notice, just notice thinking without getting involved or caught up in the narrative or the story that the thinking mind is generating, because that'll shift from moment to moment. Just notice thinking and bring your attention back to your breath. You may wander off into thought and come back 10 times, 100 times. Doesn't matter. Just when you notice that you've lost your focus on breathing, gently, compassionately, slide your attention back to the body breathing. The simplicity of this moment where we sit. Thoughts may come and go. Feelings may come and go. Sensations may come and go. Just notice. And you might note mindfully thinking, hearing. Just note. And bring your attention back to the breath. And as we come towards the end of this sitting, I invite you to notice again the question without an answer. How are you? What do you notice? How does your body feel? Is your mind settled or more jumpy? May it be that whatever benefits we receive from this meditation enable us to look out into the world through the eyes of kindness and compassion, and spread that energy to all we come in contact with in our households, in our neighborhoods, in our town. May the benefits of this practice be a benefit to all beings everywhere. May all beings be happy. May all beings be well. May all beings be safe. May all beings be at ease and at peace. Thank you for your practice. I put the usual information in the Zoom chat, how to find these sessions, how to find and get in touch with me, a link to donations, and I appreciate the donation I received this week. Thank you very much. No requirement for that. It's not a request. It's just available. So last week I talked about 6 elements of compassion. And one of them is empathy. Empathy opens our hearts so that we can meet the world in a compassionate space. And it takes a little work, and it takes a little effort, and it takes a little practice. It's easy to look out at the world these days and see selfishness and greed and discompassion and struggles and feel discouraged. We seem to be living in a modern winner-take-all culture that centers around wealth and power and celebrity and winning at all costs. And we can witness that every day. All you have to do is turn on the television. Although I was reminded recently of the words of the great sage, John Prine, blow up the TV, throw away the paper. It's easy to fall into despair and frustration witnessing the world, walking by homeless people on the streets and seeing the violence and the political chaos on television and witnessing discompassion. But we can always begin simply by recognizing the destructive nature of fear-based reactivity as a coping mechanism. Our first impulse is often to turn away. But I'm inviting you to stay present and witness. The Dalai Lama spoke to this. He said, "From my own limited experience, I have found the greatest degree of inner tranquility comes from the development of love and compassion. Ultimately, the reason why love and compassion bring the greatest happiness is simply that our nature cherishes it above all else. The need for love lies at the very foundation of human existence. It results from the profound interdependence we share with one another. The key word, I think, towards the end of that is interdependence. We're all in this together. So we can start by cultivating empathy and compassion. The key word is cultivating, because I'll be completely honest, I'm just like everybody else. I don't go there automatically all the time. But empathy is the capacity to feel what another person is feeling, not simply through making an observation or an assessment or an intellectual assessment, but by actually experiencing their feelings through our own. Empathy calls us to be willing to look at our own pain and then use that as a lens through which we can genuinely witness the suffering of others. We resonate. But it's a double-edged sword. Witnessing another's pain can trigger our own unhealed wounds, leading us to meet it with some form of aversion, anger, judgment, revulsion. We cringe. That's our first response. But something, or maybe our first reaction, because reactions and responses are different. We cringe, and that's our first reaction. But something can come after that. After we get over the piece, we can accept the fact, the truth, that we cringe, and then contemplate what comes next. Breathing into our own suffering and witnessing others' pain with some version of, this is what that person may be feeling, and bear witness and not turn away. I've talked several times in these sessions about the profound teacher who showed up when I was in a coffee shop in Santa Cruz, California. You know you're in a coffee shop in Santa Cruz, California, because there's 15 different pour-overs lined up, and you can move your cup from one to one and get a little bit of each. It's very strange. My first response is, uh-oh. But then I took a couple of deep breaths and looked at him and said, "You having a rough day?" And he kind of snapped out of it, and the people behind the bar kind of snapped out of it. But again, my first response is, eek. And we're subject to this all the time. There's vitriolic rhetoric on the television. There's threats of violence. There's scenes of violence. The newspaper can be really depressing. But what if we're witnessing all of that as just another form of dukkha? All these people are suffering, and this is what that looks like. And we can turn to that with a more open heart and say, I see the pain here. And then to contemplate what we can do, which may or may not be anything. But it's the ability to be with suffering, our own and others, without resentment, blame, fear-based reactivity, or the base survival responses. We go into fight, flight, freeze, and then something might come after that. I'm talking about the ability just to be with it, from our own hearts, to recognize, to turn inward and look at our suffering and use that as a lens to turn outward. It doesn't always mean we have to respond in some way, or even that response is called for. Down the road, when I get to the element of compassionate action, we'll talk about response and non-response. Sometimes just witnessing is a response. Today is Father's Day. That's a great day for a lot of people. For some people, not so much. For the survivors and the children of alcoholics and the survivors of child abuse may not be celebrating their fathers on this day, and I just want to say, I see you. So empathy and compassion can be as simple as, I see you. Alcoholics Anonymous talks to this, where it says acceptance is the answer. I'm having this experience of witnessing. It's disturbing. Can I accept the disturbance without turning away and see how that resonates with my own experience, and then turn towards it with an open heart? And of course, it starts with self-compassion, being compassionate with ourselves for our own pain, our own difficulty, our own grief, and the times we turn away, and the times we feel like we don't live up. To recognize we're doing the best we can. So, I invite you to move through the world with an open heart today. Thank you for your kind attention. Any questions, comments?
Okay. Thank you for that. That was very good. And I'm going to call my dad soon. So,
Jack Kornfield said, if you think you are enlightened, spend more time with your family.
Very true.
Very true. So you were saying?
Yeah, he just moved to Greece, so I'm going to visit him there in August. But that'll be nice. Well, you were just talking about Alcoholics Anonymous. I wanted to ask you, how can someone help an alcoholic or an addict who's still addicted? Who's
Still
not,
in it.
Yeah. Who maybe isn't ready to seek help on their own yet?
Well, we can't make
to do something to help them.
We can't make them. And I mean, seriously, can anybody make you do something you really don't want to do? Especially if you feel like your entire life revolves around it.
But there's nothing you can say to them.
There's no magic bullet. There's no phrase that pops out. What you can do, actually, you have my contact information if you want to call me and talk about this, because I have a lot of experience with this, and it actually is a longer conversation. We don't participate. We don't go to the bar. There's that piece. We don't bail them out of the trouble that they get into as a result of their ism. We say, I'm not available to hear this. I am available to support you getting well. So we can't, the question is never, what do we do about other people? The question is, how am I going to take care of myself, and what am I available to participate in? If this person is an alcoholic, the chances are they've already been scolded, yelled at, cajoled, begged, experienced all that
sadly,
to clean it up.
I'm thinking of passed away from her addiction, and it's it's been really hard on her dad, who's my mom's partner. But yeah, I guess I was asking for future reference, but it's a very sad situation, because he did everything he possibly could to help her, and he wanted to know what more he could do, but he bailed her out of jail and all those things.
Yeah. First off, I'm sorry for the loss.
Yeah.
This goes to exactly what I've just been talking about. It's very hard to watch. And our impulse is to jump in and do something. Right?
Well, that's what I was thinking. But what could we have done to change the situation, and maybe there's something that from your experience with
Well,
Alcoholics Anonymous.
I buy into the AA model that talks about bottoming out. People make changes when the pain of the status quo is greater than the fear of making the change. For some people, the bottom is it kills them. I've been in the 12-step community for 30 years, and some people don't make it.
Yeah.
Addiction is a powerful and brutal disease. I mean, it alters your brain chemistry, it alters your body chemistry, and it's hard to watch. And I've worked in the addiction field, I've worked in rehabs, I've worked inpatient. People will be motivated by their own pain when it gets bad enough, and then they'll make a change. And that is a sad but unfortunate truth. And we can say, I'm available when you want to walk through that door, but I can't push somebody through the door. So there's somebody very close to me who's been strung out, who was strung out for most of the last, since 98, however many years that is, 25 years. And it crashed our relationship, and there was nothing I could do. But he's recently come back into my life, and now I hadn't heard from him for years. Now he's got 6 years clean and sober, and he's working his program. And so, there's always hope, but some people don't make it. So the question isn't what am I going to do for or about this person? The question is, how am I going to take care of myself given the way things are? What am I available to participate in? What am I not available to participate in? How am I going to take care of myself witnessing this level of suffering? Because the simple truth about any addict is they're suffering, and this is what that looks like. Or anybody acting out in some sort of abhorrent behavior, they're suffering. This is what that looks like.
My cousin's going through that too, and my aunt wants to know what to do to help. So I listen. But I think she's just tried everything she can, but he's got to come to that on his own.
Well, I'm big on Al-Anon. I don't know if you know about Al-Anon, but Al-Anon was started by the wife of Bill Wilson, who co-founded AA. It's for friends and family members.
I've heard of it, yeah.
Yeah, it's a 12-step program for friends and families of alcoholics and addicts. And it focuses on how am I going to take care of myself given the way things are. So my suggestion first is go to Al-Anon and get some help, because it's a big issue. And people in this cycle tend to feel like they're alone, but they're not, because there's millions of us. I mean, the Al-Anon convention filled Madison Square Garden. There's a lot of people.
Yeah.
There's meetings everywhere. If you just go online and search for Al-Anon meeting near me. That's the best advice I can give to anybody who is navigating with somebody else's ism. I hope that was helpful.
Yeah, definitely. And I'll talk to my aunt about that, because I think she's really struggling. So I appreciate that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I will be at same bat time, same bat channel next week. Thank you.
Hey, thanks, Ken.